What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Get It Done. I'm your host, John Guerra. Now, today, before we get into this episode, let me talk to you about our sponsor for today, Bucked Up. Make sure you go and get bucked up, guys, when you have those draining days, when you feel like you don't have any energy in you, especially when it's a real tedious day. Use Bucked Up. You're going to get that energy, guys. You're going to feel like you're ready for a whole new week. I promise you, this thing is not going to fail you. Use code TOPIC for 15% off on all purchases. They constantly have discounts on everything. So literally, at sometimes you're even getting it for free. Guys, go out there and get bucked up. Now, today I'm going to be introducing you to an amazing guitarist. He's a great musician, the nephew of Carlos Sanchez. Please welcome German Sanchez.
And I can't go on, I can't go on like this, just dwelling on it.
Like this,
Used to be, I can fix these halls and patch these walls, but there's no patching.
Let's get straight into the episode, guys.
No,
How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Had a bit of a late start to the morning, but doing well.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, I got up and I was like, oh, what time is it, man? Because I don't know why I do this. I'll set an alarm, but I set like 3 alarms. And I started clicking them off, and then I put snooze, but I end up snoozing all three. So it's just like an endless cycle of snooze, and then just like keep going every few minutes. So it's like my last hour of sleep isn't even sleep. It's just me doing that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a bad habit.
We all do that, don't we? We just sit there and snoozing the alarms, and you don't even get, like you said, any good sleep. You just have to keep in that like half awake mode.
It's a bad time. But I'm trying to get into that whole thing of getting up early. Do you get up early? Do you consider yourself like someone that gets up pretty early?
I would say that I used to, and I do now when I need to. But I think like my average wake up time is like, 8 or 9. Um, Sometimes a little bit earlier. I'm trying to shoot for a little bit earlier, but since I work from home, that's kind of like my, you know, when I wake up, give or take.
How do you feel about those people that wake up like at 12 or 1 o'clock? I mean, that's like some crazy stuff, man.
No, I mean, if you are the type of guy or girl that stays up late working and you're an extreme night owl who stays until 2, 3, 4 in the morning working, and you stay, asleep until 10, 11, 12 just to do it again the next day. I mean, hey, if it works for you, it works for you. But I mean, like you said, if you're just laying there snoozing your alarms up until, midday, then that might be an issue. Because then at that point you're just hurting yourself more than anything.
hmm So I saw you have shows. What was it? It was Thursday and Saturday, right? Is that correct?
Right now, I have shows on Thursdays and Saturdays. Yeah,
Okay.
at
And
one location.
and is that like a consistent? You said it was like all through July, right? It's like the whole July schedule that's out.
Yeah. So my on my website and on my Instagram, there's a schedule for like the performances that I have that month, and for this month, it was the performances that I had for public events were at a restaurant on Thursdays and Saturdays, and then a couple performances at the Market Square downtown. So it's just like a mix between those two, and next month I'll post that schedule, which will probably be the restaurant and the Market Square, and anything else that comes up. But those are, all of the public events that I do, aside from any private events that I may have.
So how is it performing at the Market Square? Because I know I'd always see people performing there, and it's like kind of gets into a little bit of a vibe, right? When everyone's just kind of there watching, cheering for you.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that playing at the Market Square has been. I mean, I when I started playing at the Market Square was because I was playing for a family friend at La Villita, which is not too far from the Market Square. I was playing. I used to play outside of her shop. This was back when I was doing pretty much only private events, so it was very rare that anybody would see me out in public. Um, but for her, I would do it because I wanted to drive more foot traffic into La Villita because of all that construction at Hemisphere Park. All that construction led to them blocking the view of La Villita. So their foot traffic decreased like significantly. There was like no one going to the shops. There was no one going to the restaurants. So she was like, "Hey, if we set you up here, like, would you be able to, just like play here so that we can just drive more people into the shop so that when those that are walking around hear the music, they come in. I was like, sure. So they set me up in a couple different areas, but one of the days that they set me up, I was working with the owner of La Vita Cafe, and he set me up outside of the restaurant over by kind of this open courtyard. And I was playing there. And the next day or two, I got an email from Nick Flores, who's the coordinator down at the Market Square for music and activities. And he said, hey, man, um, like, would you ever be interested in playing down at the Market Square? And I said, well, I'd have to see if that's something that, fits my schedule, see what the rates are, and see if it's something that I'd be interested in. And after some talking with him, he finally decided that, we decided that it would be a good fit. So, I filled out all the information and started playing at the Market Square 2 years ago. And it must have been right before Fiesta. I think so. I started playing in June of 2023 or 2024. No, 2023 for sure. Yeah, 2023. I started playing there, and it's been great. It's been fun. There's seasons that it's a little dead. There's seasons that it's really entertaining. There are times when I'm there and there's like, you get some tips, sometimes you get no tips, sometimes you get a lot. The first time I played, I didn't bring any tip jar because my policy is if I'm getting paid for an event, I don't put out a tip jar. To my surprise, all of the vendors that were there were like, hey, where's your tip jar? People like want to give you money. And one lady that worked at one of the cafes there brought me an empty cup and put it in front of the stage and was like, hey, next time bring your tip jar. I was like, okay. And so ever since then, it's been fun. And I think the only downside is that sometimes you get some, unhappy people there. You get some, you get the one-off strange characters that go down there. It's in a location where you kind of get that. There's the bus stop that's nearby and a lot of camps around there. So other than that, I mean, it's a good time. I'm blessed to be able to play there. Not a lot of musicians get asked to play there. A lot of them have to go and ask them, but I was one of the few that got asked to play there, and I think that was something I really appreciate.
Yeah, the Market Square is always nice because you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know who's gonna come watch you. You get that one guy that's a few drinks in, starts cheering for you, and he's like telling people that I knew this guy was gonna be big, and you just met him. Like, he just saw you that first day. But some people really get behind the magicians there, man. But how did you like get into music? Like, where does this stem from? Because everyone has that moment where like, oh, this is something that I like feel in my heart that I love.
Yeah. Well, how did I get into music? I didn't want to be into music at first. I had well, my uncle, I guess is where I would start. My uncle is he's a professional guitarist. He since moved to Portugal, but he played here in San Antonio for some 30 years. He was pretty much the highest booked, you know, gigging guitarist out there. And so he was pretty well known. And I knew that he was well known. He had a music academy, he was a teacher, and I never was like interested in it. And so one day I saw a friend of mine playing the guitar, and I said, I might give it a try. So I reached out to him, started taking lessons when I was like 13, maybe. It probably was like 12 or 13. I started taking lessons with him. And I really liked music. I wasn't super passionate about it, but I liked playing the guitar. After about, 2 years of my learning, he took me out to my first event. And he was like, hey, come with me. My guitarist can't make it. Just follow my lead. Just do this, do that. You'll be fine. I had no idea what I was doing. I played horribly, but he covered for me and took me out to several different events. And I think from there, you know, my level of playing went, it increased dramatically because I was thrown into the fire and flames of live performance before I even got the chance to learn my music theory or anything like that. And so after learning all of that, um, I was like, I guess I could do this whenever he asked me to do it. And I went to school for culinary arts, and I was working at a restaurant. But in that, I would get events that would start popping up, and I was like, okay, well, I'll take these and take days off the restaurant, but I'm still going to go to school. And long story short, I ended up getting, a lot of events, and people started to know my name, and people started to book me. Obviously, I would go with him, but then I would get booked by myself. Um, and so then I decided, I'm actually going to take a break from school and I'm going to go do this and see how far I can take it. So I built up my website. I started doing more networking, practically zero marketing, just pure word of mouth ended up getting me to a point where I could do this full time. And I've been full time doing this for about 3 years. And it's funny because I wouldn't say that I have a passion for music. I have a passion for helping people, and I have a passion for seeing the look on somebody's face when you play their favorite song, and I have a passion for what music provides me financially to be able to help, my parents or my girlfriend, who I look to make my wife here soon. So it's those things that I'm passionate about, and the music right now is just a tool to get there. So that's essentially the brief story of my journey that got me to where I am now. And I've loved it ever since. Love going out to the events. I mean, who wouldn't like going out playing their favorite instrument for a group of people who want you there? They're paying to have you there, and it's just there's no complaints.
That was really interesting that you that kind of said that music ended up being kind of the third party thing here, where that was your route. Like that's what you found to get to the overall what you want to do, and you want to help people. You want to have people feel that moment because, yeah, when you hear your favorite song, it's like you feel that like light in your day kind of come out and it like brings it back all these memories. So that's like an interesting thing because usually everyone would be like, oh well, I love this. This is what I love to do, but you just more said like that was your route to get to that. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. No one ever really says that, so that's a pretty good answer right there. But
Thank you.
so, have you been in San Antonio all your life?
I've been in San Antonio for all my life. Yes.
So, with that being said, have you? How does traffic go your way here?
How does traffic go my way in the sense that like traffic like driving traffic or traffic
Yeah,
like driving
driving
traffic?
traffic.
Um, I would say it's definitely gotten worse. A couple of years back, it was still bad. I mean, San Antonio has been, one of the only places I've seen that has all of the highways consistently under construction,
Hmm.
all at the same time for years and years and years. Um, but as of late, with the closures on 1604 and I-10 going west, it's been a little bit difficult to travel there at night. The good thing is that most of my events are, down south over at downtown, and sometimes I'll go east, sometimes north. It's very rare that I'll go west, unless I'm going to some, nice house in Bernie or some ranch in Fair Oaks. Um, but, traffic's been what everybody will tell you, which is that it's not the greatest. But San
Hmm.
Antonio drivers, if you've been driving in San Antonio for a little while, especially if you're a downtown driver, you're used to it. If you don't go downtown, or if you're not used to driving here, then you're going to feel like everybody's out to get you. You're going to feel like you're getting bullied out on the road. But no, you just have to know how to navigate it.
Yeah, man. Like everyone's just it's a nightmare when you can't have it be a nightmare. That's when things really take off. It's like the world
Yeah,
knows. Everyone knows
exactly.
that you're trying to get somewhere. You know, you have that lady that's trying to go to the dollar store last minute, but to her, it's more important than you getting to work. And she
Yeah.
just cuts you off. But that made me get like a random thought here. So do you travel like you have like a team behind you when you go perform, or is it just like you by yourself?
So it's just me. So right now, my uncle, when he goes, since he's in Portugal, obviously, some agencies will still call him. He still has his like, lifelong connections that will call him for events every now and then. And whenever he gets called for those, we don't want to just like drop those events, so he'll send me to do them. At the end of the day, I am just a mini version of him who learned everything that he knows and plays all the same music. So people really don't know the difference. They love the music either way. So he'll send me off to those events. So he acts kind of like as a booking agent for those things. Um, and whenever I travel, I'll take a friend or a family member. If I'm doing a long drive to Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, something like that, I'll take somebody like that just to keep me company. I'll pay for their meals, and they'll just come by and they'll hang out. They'll help me unload some stuff, and that's about it. I'm taking my sister over to Houston to the this really nice hotel. I forgot the name of it. The Four Seasons at Houston. They're getting a 2-day event there, and I was like, "Hey, you want to come with me? We're gonna get a room. You can go to the spa, or you can go hang out at the bar, and I'll go do these events. We'll hang out during the day." So when it comes to team, I don't really have a team. I I was lucky enough that before I got into music, I was very into business. I was built out some businesses. I was really into online work. I learned sales, marketing, customer service, website SEO, website development, all that good stuff at a very basic level. Um, but when I started this, I run my musician, career as a business. I'm not a musician. I'm a company, right? Who sends out myself to go deliver the service. So, I set up my website in such a way to where it's optimized for traffic. I, rank pretty high on Google search because of the reviews that I request, and the deliverables of my service, whether it be the one-on-one onboarding calls or the tailoring the service itself, all that I handle on my own because I just know how to do it. So I've been asked, to have managers and booking agents to work alongside me, but I'm like, you know what? If I can still do it now, if I can still handle what I'm getting now, which most of the time is yes, because the events are on a Saturday, Sunday, Friday, sometimes during the week, but all the rest of the time I can do the work myself. So when it comes to a team, it's really just whoever I need at that moment will come with me. Of course, for the deliverable side of it, whenever I go actually pay for the events, I right now have a duo. So a percussionist who comes with me to events whenever we do duo performances. And then when it comes to me not being able to show up to an event, I have backup musicians as well.
Okay, so it's like, that's interesting. Has there ever been a time where it's like your uncle told you to go and fill in for him, and then you couldn't do it, so you called in a backup musician to come and fill in for you?
Yeah, so here's the interesting part about that. My uncle ran his business like the Navy. He was very hardcore about like who he trusts, who he's going to let go to an event like that. And the reason is because musicians have a pretty bad reputation. When somebody thinks musician, they think, oh, bar, singing musician who's going to show up late and get a couple drinks and, have a sloppy setup and show up in like a t-shirt and jeans, right? Sometimes when they hear like guitarists, they'll think mariachis who, as much as I love a mariachi, the average mariachi band is going to show up either 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after they're supposed to start. Their customer service just isn't all that great. So it's things like that that give us a bad reputation that my uncle recognized. So a funny story was one time we were playing for this really nice event. He'd get booked for like, your big real estate showings or your big galas at the Woody Museum or the Botanical Gardens. So he would always show up, all black attire with a red tie. And there was one time that I showed up and my shoes were a little scuffed up. They were a little dirty. And he looks me up and down. He looks down at my shoes and he goes, "If you ever show up with dirty shoes again, you'll never play for me." And I was like, "You got it." And at the time I was like, okay, I think that's a little hardcore. But I soon started to realize that it was that level of professionalism and precision that differentiated him from all the other musicians that the companies could hire. Um, and so I applied the same deal to my business. It was like, okay, we're going to be as professional as possible. Um, and I was building up a point and I forgot your question. What was your question?
It was that if there was ever like a sub for sub, like you had to sub in for your uncle, but
Okay,
you couldn't.
yes, yes. So that's what I was building up to. So, anyways, that level of professionalism, it was very hard to find other musicians that were wanting to. It's not that they couldn't do it. It's not that we were somehow better than these other guys. Like, no, we had some musicians that, could run circles around us, technically, like with their music professionalism in terms of how good they were. But they didn't want to put in the effort to hold themselves to that standard because in their head they're like, oh, I'm a great musician, they should just want me for my music. They shouldn't matter what I look like or how I handle my business. It's like, well, it does when you're handling $1 million events. So whenever I couldn't show up to an event, we had maybe 2 or 3 guys that very seldom we would call, but whenever I couldn't show up, we know that we could count on them if they if we needed them. So yeah, there was always those backups. Um, Nowadays, those guys moved on to different things. They're teachers, or now they just don't go out to events anymore. So I've had to find my own set of backup musicians. But yes, it has happened in the past.
And do you like, maybe this could be off here, but maybe like there's some auditions happening here. You're looking at them, they got to look kind of like you, like they got to like talk like you a little bit, kind of thing. Like you're trying to
It
fool
kind,
people here.
I would say that if I were to find somebody like me, um, I would be taking away from their creative professionalism. And what that means is I don't want a copy of me. And my uncle didn't want a copy of him either. He showed me exactly how he ran things because I would go under his name in terms of the company. I'd be the musician, but he would be the company that would be the face. So, of course, I had to handle things with, your standard operating procedures that he would have set up. But he never forced himself on me in terms of being exactly how he was. I got there because I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. He knows what he's doing. I'm just going to copy him. Right. So I ended up getting his style anyways, but that's because I was young. I was 14, 15 years old. Nowadays, when I look for musicians, what I'm looking for, do you have a reputation that's good enough that you'd want to keep it? I don't need a musician that's looking to, that either just started off and doesn't really know what they're doing. And it's not that that musician isn't going to be good. That musician is going to be great one day. But this client is looking for somebody that's already established. So I'm looking for a musician that has been around for a little while, that knows what they're doing, that, most of the musicians that I hire are older than me. And they've been playing longer than I've been alive, some of them. So bringing them in, I'm like, hey, you have a reputation. It's a great reputation. Do you want to keep it? Yes, obviously. They show up on time. They show up well dressed. They show up and they deliver a service that's great. They have their own style. So it's not that I'm looking for somebody that's like me. I'm looking for somebody that's who they are and is good enough that they want to keep that good reputation.
Mm. Yeah, so it's like more of at the end of the day, like you're representing us right here. So we want someone that is going to hold themselves to the same like level as we will going into this. And we don't like, it's not that we don't have time for people that are just starting to learn. It's just in this certain time, in this event, we need someone that knows how to do it already. And that's already done that.
Exactly. Yeah, I shouldn't need to um I shouldn't need to babysit a musician that's been around for a while. And most of them, they won't, they would hate it if you did that to them. Musicians are to be treated with the same respect as equally, right? Like, I'm like, hey, you doing this, I'm doing this, we're both professionals. Hey, just show up at this time. This is the place. This is what they're asking for. This is your setup. You know what your setup's going to look like. Can you do it? Yes, I trust you. Cool. If you do a good job for me once, then I'm going to bring you back. If you don't do a good job, then that's it. And that's how it is in any other business. The thing is, again, not treating it as like, and I was just talking to another great set of musicians, Jorge and Nicole, who are just this wonderful duo group. It's him and his wife, Jorge, and his wife, Nicole, um, who play acoustic world music. And when I found them, I was like, these people they play wonderfully, and they look like two well put together individuals. So I met them in person and I talked to them, um, and I said, hey, I run my career as if it was a business, because it is a business. I'm working with clients. They're coming in, they're paying invoices, they're expecting the full service. And he was like, yeah, no, we do the same. Like, we show up and we hide our cables, we put our bags away in a separate room if we can, we make sure to tape everything down, like things like that. I'm like, okay, you guys are holding yourself to a standard more than just like, oh, I'm going to show up to this event, hope to get some free food, and play whatever I want to play. It's like, no, it's funny. I mean, when musicians get hired for an event, and Market Square is a little bit different, because the Market Square, you're actually there on the stage. You're performing at a concert at that point. It's a mini concert, but it's a concert at the end of the day. But whenever a musician gets hired for a private event or a gig like that, you're going out there to be background music for an event that's the spotlight is elsewhere. Like, the spotlight is on the presenter, the spotlight is on the company. You're there to entertain the guests. And so seeing it that way, seeing that, like, okay, I am going to be complimentary to this event. If this event is a super high-end event at the Whitty Museum, it's black tie, it's a gala, you're there to complement that. You're there to play music that's going to make them feel like they're in the Palace of Versailles in France, right? Like, you're there to make them feel that way, to set the mood, and to act in such a way to where people look at you and say, wow, this is a really high level event. This is a very classy place to be at. Of course, there's variety there, because not all events are like that, but you know what I mean. You're there to set the mood. You're there to do your job. And a lot of musicians that I meet aren't going to do that. But these guys that I met, they knew what that was like. So, yeah, it was great.
Has there been like a time where you had to get someone to sub in for you, and then you found out that they didn't deliver that performance, or like there was some complaints about them? Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, I've one time I sent a guitarist. I won't mention their name, but and you know what? This is one of those guitarists that's been around for a very, very long time. They're wonderful guitarists. Their technique is great. Um, but when I sent them out, they would show up, and they showed up, um, and just did the service a little lazy, a little, you know in the sense that it was just kind of like it felt like it was like a burden for them to be there. And whenever that happens, that causes a whole set of issues, because they're not going to deliver it at the same level that they would deliver another event. And that comes from the fact that musicians will change the quality of their service for the type of event that they have. One of the things that my uncle again taught me, is he said, um, when we go out to play, whether we're playing for, 10 people at a little dinner, or we're playing for 6,000 people at a big event, you're going to play as if you were playing at the, New York Symphony stage, playing for thousands of people, and it's a full concert. That you're going to play at that level every single time, because that makes you consistent at the highest degree. And this musician just didn't do that. Maybe they just had a bad day. Maybe they were, not feeling it, which happens. Musicians aren't robots. But after that, I was like, if you're not going in with your name, you're coming in with my name. The next time, if I have this event, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out on your own. Like, I'm going to tell this client, hey, I can't go, but this other musician is great. You can go contact him. And that's if I do that, because at the end of the day, even if the musician doesn't go on with your name, if they're a referral, the company's still looking at you being like, hey, why did you refer me a bad musician? And that also doesn't look so good. So that was pretty much the only time. It wasn't anything crazy. The client just had a few comments about it, but they didn't complain. They thought the music was great. But it's the little things like that, because in a market that's so saturated with musicians, if a company thinks for a second like, oh, this was all right, they're gonna find somebody better, and as soon as they find somebody better, they're gonna stick with that person, right? So everything counts.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Last thing here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring this up because I wanted to talk to someone about this, and you're the first person I'm talking to here today.
Okay.
So, did you see that whole situation with the Coldplay concert?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, man. And I feel like just the way that they reacted to it, just like threw everything off the window, like just fully gave them out. Like that's pretty wild. That I just feel like that happens a lot, though. Like in my mind, I was like, this probably happens a lot, and the odds
Probably.
that they like put a camera on it is like, you know, that was pretty interesting to me, and I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
Yeah, so I saw it, and I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, oh, like this is funny. I didn't really think. I thought that somebody had captioned it with that being like, oh, that they were having an affair as a joke. Um, but then I, was on a call with my girlfriend, and she was like, "Hey, did you see what happened at the Coldplay concert?" I was like, "Yeah, I did. What about it?" She was like, "Oh, like that was like the CEO of like this really big company." And so then I looked into it, and I was like, oh man, like that sucks. Like this CEO is having an affair with his HR director or whatever. I was like, how unlucky do you have to be in a crowd of thousands of people to get the spotlight on you? But then I thought about it, I was like, there's probably a good chance that he was sitting in one of those boxes. I don't know exactly where he was sitting, but he was probably sitting in somewhere pretty noticeable.
Mm,
And I wouldn't doubt that somebody must have put somebody else up to it, maybe purposely put that camera on them. But apart from the you know like how funny it is that that happened to them, and how unfortunate it is that like they were that unlucky, part of me is, well, actually most of me is like, well, it's deserved. Like,
mm,
you're a CEO at the one of the highest levels. You have a family, you have kids, you have everything that you could have asked for in terms of a professional career, in terms of a life goal perspective, and you're choosing to throw it all away by making a decision like that. Um, and I think that anybody that does that shows a clear lack of content and gratitude for what they have. And if gratitude is the antidote for depression and, I would say, discontentment, meaning not being happy, right? Like if gratitude is going to be the things that take that away, the moment that you lose gratitude, you become prideful and you want more and you want more, and this isn't going to cut it. And I'm the CEO, but I want more, and I have a wife and beautiful kids, and it's like, no, I want more. And that's where we fall so short in life, is always wanting more. And so I think that's just like a clear example of it. CEO of the highest degree getting caught cheating on with his HR director. What more do you want to show you that humans are never going to be satisfied, right? So
mm.
it was just a good reminder to hold my girlfriend a little tighter that day, and remember that you need to count your blessings each and every day and be happy with what you have. Otherwise, you risk never being satisfied.
That's true, man. That's true. And then I saw, I think like 2 days later, his wife was leaking that he was paying for OnlyFans and all that. And I was like, hey, we're digging in now. We're getting silly here. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
wouldn't doubt it. This, if somebody lacks that much integrity, then it'll show in all the other areas of their life.
Hmm. And last thing here, I know I said last thing, but this came to mind as the last thing here.
Yeah.
Did Were you ever, and this could be by force or not by force, to watch Love Island?
Yes, I watched it. I wouldn't say by force, but it was put on when I was around, and it's one of those things where it's like a car crash on the highway, as long as everybody's okay, but it's like a car crash on the highway. You can't look away, right? Like you kind of
Hmm.
you're driving past it, and you're gonna look over. So that's how it was when I watched it.
Yeah, I was put through the season finale. I didn't see any of it until the season finale. I was on a trip with my family, and it was once again, I could have gone to a different room. I could have gone somewhere else, but I sat there. I watched it, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it. I felt like it was I don't know. I don't know. No comment on that. But did you like it? Were you kind of like interested a little bit, or was it kind of like it's on, it's on?
I think that with those shows, I hardly ever watch TV shows like that, but I think that with that show in particular, I thought it was entertaining to watch people. You know, I kind of put it this way: it's like somebody has so many things that they can do with their life, and they're on that show and they're having to act a certain way, and there's something surreal about that because it feels like a giant experiment and we just get to see it from the outside in. And so there's something about like the bigger picture of watching that show that makes it entertaining. When it comes to the content of the show, I couldn't even tell you what was going on. I just know that I was like, a bunch of people on this, in this place, talking to each other like this, pulling each other aside for random conversations. I'm like, this is very interesting to watch how the producers were able to put this all together.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's all reality shows are. It's just kind of like an experiment, and it's like being allowed to happen. Let's see how people are going to react. But yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But anyways, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate the time. I know it's about to be 12. I had to call it off right here. 3 minutes away. I didn't even know that it was that long already.
You're good, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Burning memories till the